Hi, I'm Mrs. Bill here at Yes Prep Southside. I'm the 7th grade mathematics enrichment teacher. Laura was telling me how she loved my new tracker, and I hope you guys enjoy it too. So let's start over here with the entire objective of the ST Math tracker. Last semester I was totally lost on what ST Math was really about, the background of it, and how to just really help my kids. So what I did was, over the break, I broke ST Math down myself. The little cone that we see when we first log into ST Math would be the objective, which my kids are currently on rational concepts. And then once you go into the objective, you will see the modules. The modules are these little boxes down here, and when you're in teacher view, you will see total the amount. But as a student, you will only see one box at a time until you finish that module and move to the next. And then I broke it down in the amount of games, which once you go through the module, you'll see the amount of games, but as a student, you won't see them until you finish each game. And then in each game, you do know that there are levels, and so depending on which game you're in, they can range from 1 to 3 to 5 levels. And so breaking it down like this gave students a better idea of what they needed to be focusing on and that mental math skill for that week. So with rational concepts, we had 2 modules, and I gave the kids 2 weeks to work on them. And so some of them went over 2 weeks, which is totally okay. I don't want to rush you and make you feel rushed. So I gave them an additional week. With the additional week, I'm only giving you 3 days because I only work on ST Math on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Fridays. With the additional module that they had left, they had about 2 games in that module and then 9 levels. So how I break it down on a weekly basis, you know our ST Math goal is 75 minutes a week. I broke that down into weekly since you only have 2 weeks to work on the module, 50% each week, and then 4 games each week and 17 levels. So for rational concepts, we had 2 modules, and then, want to pause it?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
You're fine. I'm going to leave it rolling.
Sorry.
No, don't apologize. You're fine.
I should turn that off. My husband always knows.
Your off time?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Great. So now I'm just going to go into depth about it.
Yep.
Ready?
Yep, you're good.
Great. So for rational concepts, we had 2 modules. Each module, you had 1 week to finish each module. In the modules, there were 5 games. So 2 modules, 5 games each. Altogether, there were 10 modules. In each game, there were 5 levels. So they had 20 levels for game 1, and then 26 levels for game 2. And so it took them about 2 weeks. At the end of those 2 weeks, I realized, like, they're still on this. Let me give them additional week. So in those 2 games, 2 levels that you had left, I said you had 20%. Every day you had to be doing at least 20% of the module that you had left. If I gave them an additional week and we do 20% per day, that basically puts you at finishing on that Friday. And then for the 2 games you had left, if I tell you to do 2, doesn't mean you have to do 2, but I expect you to at least have 1 game left. And then the levels that we had, if we had 15 levels left for that week, 5 levels per day would have gotten them to Friday. They would have been completed with their levels. If you're done with the level, you're done with the game. And if you're done with the game, you're done with the module and ready to move to the next objective, which was negative numbers. Now, on this part, this is a completion time on which I expect them to be meeting this completion time. It does not mean that if I don't meet that, I'm a bad student. It just means that I need a little more assistance, like tutorials or extra interventions. And so for the rational concepts, we've now been on that for 3 weeks. I'm only giving you additional week to finish that. And for negative numbers, I'm giving you 2 weeks, which is 6 days in total.
Great.
All right, so now let's move to the student tracking and how this works. So this column is for goal met. On every Friday, I write this at the end of their classes just so they can see as a class, did I meet my goal? As you can see, these pretty Christmas colors here Red means I did not meet my goal. I was not doing what I was supposed to do. I did not ask for help in class. And unfortunately for that day, my goal was not met. Yellow means, you know what, Ms. Bill, I was almost there, but I'm not quite there. So I'm not going to fault you for trying and doing your very best. I'm going to attempt to give you something. And green means I'm a superstar. I have my learning life together. I'm ready to move forward. And so every day, the last 5 minutes of class, I have each student place their binder up, put their computer in the middle of the table, and come and track for themselves. Now, to break down the tracker on how it equates with grades and things, I made this tracker because every day students were coming in and they were tracking it correctly. So you do remember Laura gave us this old tracker, which was for accomplishments. This is for when you finish ST Math, you need to tell me how you did. But then I created this new tracker that says on a daily basis, Ms. Bill tells me what my goals are, and then I'm going to put yellow, red, or green if I met them goals. Now, red would give you about a 50 to 79% in participation for ST Math. Yellow would give you a 70 to 85% grade for participation in ST Math. And then green would give you anywhere from a high B, which is an 86 to 100% participation grade in ST Math. And so it really, really puts fire under the kids' bottoms because they're like, I want to do good. I want to do better. I want Ms. Bill to be proud of me. And they're very, very competitive. And so with that being said, it's almost like a daily competition or like a daily challenge to be better than I was the day before. And so with that being said, it could totally affect your grade if you are constantly not meeting your goals on a daily or a weekly basis. And so with kids knowing that they're coming to tutorials after school and during lunch, which is really awesome, and they're asking questions that they never asked before. And so just in case you're like, that's a lot of information, how are they figuring this out on a daily basis? What I did was I created this for each kid to put in their binders under the tracker section, and it just says like my ST Math semester goals is that all students will meet their individual math goals throughout the year, and that we'll get higher scores on our post quizzes than our pre-quizzes. But that takes work. And like, how can you tell that to a child without telling them how to achieve that goal? And so I just broke that down for them, basically what I just told you about the red, yellow, and green. And then the daily goals and then the weekly goals. It literally breaks everything down for them, which I thought was totally cool, and they love it. Anything else?
Yeah, so what do you do for any students who are either far behind because they're needing more time, and it's appropriate that they're taking more time, or students who are working at a faster pace and get ahead?
So what do I do for students that are behind? The first thing that I do is I do small groups, which is why I have the small group table, and I focus on them students, and those students that are far ahead, I put one strong student to two students that are on level or having a hard time moving to the next level, because I don't mind them helping each other out. I don't believe it's cheating. I think we're a team and that we all need to work together as best as possible. For those babies that are far ahead, I celebrate them, which is why I split the board into two pieces, because I was realizing, okay, when we started off, we were all on the same level, but when we were getting into the groove of things, some kids were moving extremely fast, and so I didn't want to leave them behind. And I do like a 2-minute celebratory clap, like 2 claps for these students who exceeded their goals for the day at the end of the day. So that also makes them feel good. As you can see how the board is broken into 2. Negative numbers doesn't have any modules. And so what I just did was said one total module, because there are a total of 5 games. I just created a module in my mind. And there are 26 levels totals. And so what I expect them to do is this in 2 weeks, which some of them have already passed negative numbers in 1 week, which is very impressive. I've given them 6 days to do that, and I allow them to have the same percentage because I don't want them to feel rushed, although they are ahead.